Do you ever wonder why we play these role playing games? Why we feel the need to build worlds and create characters that fight monsters or fly through the stars on some sci fi mission? Why we feel a need to get together as a group and roll dice to tell stories together? I do sometimes. I'm curious what the draw is. Even though I love the games, I'm not sure what pulled me into them. So today we're going to talk about that. We're going to explore that idea, and we're going to draw a map while we do it. And this is a sketch of the isometric map that we're going to do today. I call it Barnaby's Tower. I figure Barnaby is probably a wizard from, a couple of thousand years ago. Well, maybe not a couple of thousand, maybe a few hundred. Anyway, Barnaby's long gone. His tower's still there, probably crumbling in ruins. However, there's some treasure and some traps and some fun stuff in there. And you can see I've put notes next to it. These notes I'm going to put on the map that we draw eventually. I draw eventually as a kind of, just there to help run it so I can just take the map, drop it into a game, and I'm good to go. So when I originally recorded this and transferred it over to the editor, apparently OBS had cut it up into a bunch of different files and they never meshed together properly, so I'm just going to have to talk over this as it goes. And luckily I sped up the video, so it's going to be a shorter video than it originally was, which actually is a good thing. So I started with creating squares for the rooms, but I actually want it to be a circular tower. So I plotted the squares like I would for any isometric or even a regular dungeon drawing that I was doing, and then I do the circles out of those squares after. It was just a way for me to get the layout I wanted before worrying about drawing the circles and have them look isometric and not just like circles on a piece of paper. I don't know if that worked, but anyway. So, why do we play these games? For me, I think it's a sense of having control over something in a world where so much seems to be out of our control. Everything moves so fast, and we have jobs and families and friends, but we don't seem to have any time, right? The only time we are able to put aside to play these games is when we feel like we're in control. We finally feel like we have control over something that lets us be who we want to be. So often we have to pretend, or not even pretend, but put on a facade that everything is okay. And often it might be, but a lot of the time it might not be. And that could be because we feel like there's a lot that's out of our control. Being a dungeon master, I can create the world I want to create, and I'm in control of it all. If I'm a player, I can create a player and I can be the person I want to be. I can be the hero I want to be, which is not a luxury that we get every day in this world. I think a lot of it too comes from, especially for older players who played in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, before it became such a pop cultural phenomenon, is that it was something that allowed us to be ourselves with people who let us be ourselves, and we didn't have to hide it. When I was younger, I had to hide all the things that I liked. I liked comic books, but I couldn't tell anyone about that because that was for nerds. When I went to high school, I put all that stuff away, even though I still loved it. I had to put it aside so that I could pretend to be cool and have people like me. But now I can do whatever I want. And doing this lets me feel like kind of like that kid again. I think that the mix of feeling like we're in control and finding that community that we feel like we can be ourselves with is what draws a lot of people to this hobby. There's something to be said for a game that lets us pretend to be something we're not. Whereas in real life, if you pretend to be something you're not, you're going to be quickly found out, and usually it's not going to go the way you want it to go. But in these games, I can be whatever I want. I can be an elf, an orc, hell, I could be a crow that only repeats what other people say. I won't be that because I don't play that game anymore, and it just does not sound like a fun character to play. But it's that sense of being in control of something that is within my hands and was it within something that I don't feel is going to spiral out and leave me overwhelmed or feel like I'm drowning. That's what draws me and I think a lot of people to playing tabletop role playing games. A lot is left up to fate because of the rules, but just because of using the dice, it is random, but a lot of life is random. But the rules, working within those rule sets, allow me to do things I would not be able to do otherwise. I can't jump over lava. I can't swing from a chandelier and fight with a sword. I mean, I could try, probably fail and get really hurt. I can't cast fireballs and, kill off monsters and save the day, but I can in these worlds. And in these worlds, I can control people to do what I want them to do and mold how I want the world to look, which is not something I can do every day. I think being an adult now, we're so wrapped up in what others want us to do and what others need us to do that we forget to look after ourselves in a way. And being able to play these games is a huge part of being able to do that. So I think it's a lot about control and feeling like we felt when we found those groups when we were kids, those groups that accepted us for who we were. It was a great feeling and it was a comforting feeling. So let me know below what you think. Is it a matter of control and comfort, or is it just purely for fun? Let me know in the comments. I hope you guys like this one, and I'll see you in the next one. And the next video, we're going to ink that map, and hopefully the recording of it goes a little better, and I won't spend so many hours trying to re-record this video. But that's it for now. Save a seat for me at your table.